Portland Trailblazers now 30-39 on the season. 69 games into the regular season. Nice. They pick up a win last night over the Washington Wizards, 112-97. And we talked about it briefly at the onset of the show. Boy, that Wizards team is bad.
Yeah,
they got bad juju. They got bad players.
You just feel the funk.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good.
No, it's not. And Alex Sarr looks good though.
He's been putting it together, man, over the last couple weeks. He zero. So when I did my scout on him last year and did 6,000 words on him, there was a lot of stuff that showed up. His willingness to shoot, which has actually been encouraged over the last couple weeks. And when he gets an open look from three, you look at a guy like Chris Murray who sometimes hesitates. Or you look at even a Shaden who hesitates. Alex Sarr does not hesitate. If he has an open look from three, he is letting it go. Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's new. One of the other things that stood out was, in the scout, I was like, look, if you've never seen him until last night, you watch him move around the floor. There isn't a 7-footer on the planet that moves like him. He moves like a guard, like a wing. It's creepy how well he moves.
Very fluid.
It's just, it's weird because he's a legit 7-footer. It's not like a 6'10" guy who's like, oh, he's 7 foot. It's like, no, he's legit 7 foot. And he just moves, he slithers around. And it looks weird.
He looks like a more full, and this is going to be quite he's nowhere near the player.
Mm-hmm.
But the way he moves, that slitheriness, he's like a fuller bodied Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Like the way, the slitheriness of his game where it's just like, you go, how'd he get there?
Yeah.
But he's not nearly as rail thin as when KD came into the
and
league.
he's probably got the frame to probably put on some more weight and get a lot stronger. And that was one of the things that I worried about in the scout was like a lot of times he avoids physicality. He avoids contact. And you saw it a couple times last night when he grabbed an offensive rebound and kind of faded on a putback or something like that. But he had one play where he posted up Klingon, and Klingon is so big and so strong. And Sarr put his shoulder in Klingon's chest, knocked him back, and hit a little baby hook over the top. And I went, oh, that's new.
Okay.
If he's going to play with that kind of aggressiveness, look, I don't want to see him on the block 18 times a game. But, if he's all of a sudden playing through physicality,
yeah,
that changes the whole deal for him.
There was no way the Blazers were going to lose that game because you can't out-tank that. When they decide they're going to pull the ripcord, the Wizards, boy, do they. And we only saw Jordan Poole for 23 seconds in the second half. Did not see Alex Sarr for the last 4 minutes of the third quarter and then the entirety of the fourth quarter. And he had 20 points, Sarr did. That their scoring output just went kapooey once he left the game. But for the Blazers, you saw Anfernee Simons snap out of a brief funk shooting the basketball.
Yeah, he had that one game where he just couldn't hit anything. Other than that, I want to say over his last 10, he's averaging 25 a game on 45, 40, 90.
He's been playing very well and very effectively, to the chagrin of some, but he's been playing good basketball, man.
He had 30 points in 23 minutes. You just kind of blinked and you went, when the hell did he get 30?
Well, I think a lot of teams do that to the Washington Wizards. Yeah. But Matisse Thybulle, his return 6 minutes on Sunday, and they said, all right, deep end, here you go, 22 minutes last night, and he was all over the place. He had 5 steals, a block, and
on another 3. So he's got 2 blocks this year on 3s.
Well, and 1 to preserve a win.
Yeah.
4 rebounds, 3 assists, and then 9 points on 4 of 9 shooting. It was like that. I can't wait. Well, there's a likelihood we'll never see it. But to see meaningful basketball played, if Toumani Camara and Matisse Thybulle were on the floor, you want to talk about the bones of a competitive playoff basketball team. Having 2 guys that play like Toumani Camara and Matisse Thybulle on the floor, that is the bones of what competitive playoff basketball teams look like. Only problem is Blazers aren't there yet.
No.
And they've
got a lot of
keep those guys on together. 2 is the future. Tease, in all likelihood, is a piece that's gone.
It's going to be interesting because
Tease is a piece.
I think you're looking at Tease and Chris Murray, and you're probably going to decide on one of them. because you want
I don't know which one I'm keeping.
Chris was incredible defensively last night, and that's the question with both those guys is whether or not they can kind of figure it out offensively. I mentioned during the game last night on Twitter that he's a defensive terrorist. Like the stuff he's played 28 minutes, his per 36 numbers, 9 steals, 2.6 blocks.
Per 36, all right.
Per 36, he's averaging 11.6 stocks. There was a play.
I don't think that holds up over 82, but right now, really good through 2.
Yeah, I don't either. But there was a play where you just saw how good and how, like, we talk about athletes in the NBA and how explosive guys are. Matisse Thybulle gets lost in that because he doesn't often show it in a way that I think people truly either understand or respect. He let a guy back cut on him, just UCLA cut to the rim. And he is sitting there in a stance, and he is just waiting. And it was like watching Darrelle Revis in his prime, just baiting a pass the entire time on a rookie quarterback, knowing full well, I know where he's going with this ball. He doesn't yet know where he's going with this ball, so let me just wait on this. And he just casually, it's not like he reached out and grabbed it with his fingertips. He just reached out and grabbed it because he knew where he was going. He was like, I'm just going to bait this. And he just sees the floor. He's like, yes, he's a great defensive player, but he's a defensive playmaker. It's not a traditional sit down in front of you defender. He sees the game. It's like 4D chess. He doesn't defend like normal defenders. He baits stuff. He kind of plays in passing lanes in a different manner. And yeah, he'll get down and sit down in front of you and defend, but he also just kind of makes you guess. And you see these young guys who just were terrified of dribbling the ball around him. There was multiple times where Teach kind of just gave the little fake stunt just with his hand of like, I'm going to poke it. And you saw guys lose the ball because they're so worried about him and how disruptive he can be that they didn't know how to handle it. And you just kind of see how he just, not in the same way, but because it's so different, but how Steph has offensive gravity. Matisse has defensive gravity. There's like this bubble around him that teams just kind of avoid.
Well, he's a guy that when you hear off-ball defender, like that's exactly what he is.
He's elite.
He's really damn good at it. He's
elite at it. And like you talk about like catch radius in the NFL, there's like a steal radius for Matisse. And his level of athleticism, the P3 training facility in LA where they do a bunch of the big time tracking stuff. I know a few people that have worked there, and Luka Doncic still holds like records for a lot of their tracking metrics as far as like acceleration, deceleration. I would love to know where Matisse Thybulle ranks or if he has gone down there because his acceleration, his ability to go from standing still to full speed might be the best in the NBA. Like that's how he's able to close 30 feet and get a block in the game against the Raptors. That's how he's able to bait a pass. And you've got NBA players that just rip passes through defenses. And he just says, he doesn't grab it with his fingertips. He's there like they're passing it to him because he closes so much ground. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the Blazers do this offseason because I'm sure at this point in his career, Matisse is probably hoping to get to a team that's more competitive.
Yeah.
And even with the expectation of the Blazers being that they should be in the play-in next year, is that enough for him?
Probably not.
Probably not. And if you're the Blazers, you look at Chris Murray, you still got him on his rookie deal as a first-round pick, so he's got a 4th year. Do you just decide to kind of roll with him?
Look, I know which one I would take, and it's Thybulle because of he's already so far ahead in where he's at. But it also is the value that you can get in return. Whatever that is, whoever gets more value in return, that's your choice right there.
I think the question,
it's a role player.
It is, but I think the question you asked, do you want the 2-3 defender who is Matisse, or do you want the 3-4 kind of guy, or 2-3-4 even with Chris? And I think there's a little bit more versatility with Chris.
I think Toumani Camara allows you to
make that decision
either way, though, because of his versatility. So, a good win for the Blazers. Matisse Thybulle, it was good to see him back as the fan text line, 503-864-6326. The fan text line, 503-864-6326. As they say, can I nominate Matisse Thybulle for best hair in the NBA? He might have it now. He's got good flow.
It's great flow.
He's got great flow going on. You can nominate him.
Look, there's some great hair all over this team. I mean, Rob's dreads are incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, those are... Jeremy's got some great dreads. Like there's some good flow in this team. Denny's hair is always immaculate.
Yeah. They're no Matisse Thybulle, though.
No, I mean it's a great. I mean, look, the fro is a
No
great
Trae
look.
Youngs.
Oh yeah, no.
No Trae Youngs
There's
rolling around.
Nobody in that locker room is going to betray their hairline like Trae Young.
Yeah.
All of those guys in that room, I mean, Scoot's got a nice little fro too when he lets it go.
All right.
So it's
Good hair team.
Good hair team.
Good to be young.